I'm in a game. Hello, I'm in a game. Hello, I'm in a video with my daddy.
What's going on, everybody? So, on this week's episode, we're going to be talking to Don's Garage on YouTube. His name's Don. I'm not going to say his last name because I will let him do it because I will botch it to no end. Okay? So, with that being said, here's Don.
Well, what's happening, everybody?
So
We're
how do you
getting
say your
through.
last name? How do you say your last name?
Piggott.
Okay, yeah, I would have totally messed that up.
Hey, I've heard that name. I've heard my name chopped up so many different ways. It doesn't bother me anymore. It's pronounced with an E, spelt with an O. It's the best way as I can describe it.
And with my last name, I totally understand that because everybody gets it wrong too. So it's all right.
How do you pronounce yours?
So it's
How do you pronounce your last name?
It's Risdam. So it's Risdam, right?
Okay.
So Dawn, you're on Dawn's Garage on YouTube, and you how long have you been on YouTube now?
This is my second trip on go round on YouTube, and I've been here 4 months now. Spent about 6 months the last time.
And it seems like you've got a pretty good following going. You've for the most part, right?
Yeah, it's really surprised me how well how the channel's blossomed as far as viewers and that and subscriptions. It's blown my mind, to be honest with you. I'm shocked beyond compare than you can imagine.
No, I mean it's really cool, and like, and I'm going to lead into this question. What part of the country are you in?
I am in Alabama. I'm about 70 miles north of Birmingham.
Okay. And what is the hobby scene like down there?
Almost non-existent. There's some maulers in around me. Most of them are anywhere from 20 minutes to a couple hours away. We had a great club based out of Birmingham for a long time, Magic City Car Maulers. And it folded up, just it run its course. We had a pretty good show going for a while. It was the Birmingham Classic. We were going, I was taking trips over to Atlanta, picking people up from the airport. We had guys flying in. But for whatever reason, I know some of them, we won't get into all that. The club just went under. We're all.
It happens, right? I mean, it just.
Yeah. It's just part of it. I mean, and this is just my opinion, and this is $2 to get you a cup of coffee at the Waffle House. With social media, physical meeting groups are getting fewer and fewer. My dad belongs to a couple of motorcycle clubs, and the participation with them is getting smaller and smaller. Just part of the times now, I guess.
Now, see, I would have thought that would have been the other way, but it's because everybody can like get a webcam, get on a computer, you can hang out in your own cave and still participate, right?
Right. And that's the thing I like about Brian's Saturday night hangout. You know, we get together. You know, and that thing runs anywhere from 3 hours. We was in there like 5 hours, I think, last Saturday.
I think he's been in there almost 8 sometimes.
Yeah, it's great.
No,
just hard to swap parts that
way. But I mean, it's cool to still get, you know, you're in your comfort zone and you're still able to interact with people. You can't describe that.
Mm-mm. No, that's the cool part about the hangouts. And you get to talk to people and face it, I'm never going to meet in person. You know, you may be there may be a guy in there you're talking with, and he's in Australia.
Yeah,
I'm not getting on an airplane.
Well, yeah, no. But I mean, that's also kind of the cool thing, right? Is you can, our hobby is worldwide. Let's just face it, it is worldwide. There's probably 2 sections of the world that it's not in, and that's because they're covered in ice. But
yeah.
And as long as everybody can understand one another, we all kind of have that same common thing. It's just the time zone differential that we have to adjust for.
Right, exactly. Oh, well, in this hobby, I got seriously involved, you know, in clubs and shows, late 80s, early 90s, you know, and I met people that complete different career backgrounds or family backgrounds. That's the only other way. That's the only way I met them is we have a common interest in models. You know, we wouldn't have met any other way.
Yeah. So what do you like building?
Cars are my thing. I build models of stuff that I would love to own and financially can't afford to have it sitting in the garage. So, you know, this is my fantasy world here. Hot rods, customs, drag cars is the main thing. Closest thing to stock that I'll build is that ramp truck I'm currently working on. You know, it's a stock 72 Chevrolet truck, cabin chassis with a scratch-built ramp bed on the back of it.
I think I know which one you're talking about. That's a pretty cool setup.
Thank you. You know, I'm building a tow pig. That's what I call it.
So Brian has a question. Don, I like that shirt. Where would someone get one?
This came from, I was at a show in Indiana 4 years ago. Guy was selling them. I picked it up. I couldn't tell you who it was. It was a vendor at the show. But that's been long enough ago. My memory's like, yeah, right. I've got a buddy of mine. I'm trying to talk him into doing some t-shirts like this. Haven't quite got him there yet. He's got a small screen printing operation in his garage. I'm like, hey, this would be great to do.
Yeah, right. Like the possibilities, like the extra stuff you can buy for this hobby, like the little postcards that everybody trades back and forth, t-shirts. Right. I prefer a sweatshirt just because, you know, I live in the Pacific Northwest, but so you like
that's
building
something
cars.
we've considered.
No, go ahead.
That's something I've considered for the channel later, is possibly doing t-shirts. I'm a hoodie guy. You know, we're getting in Alabama where our temperatures are dropping. It's part-time hoodie weather already in the mornings, you know. So, you know, I thought about doing t-shirts and hoodies, sweatshirts. Just looking at cost factors and all this stuff, you know.
Yeah, and there's programs like you can just, like, you're not making them, but you can have the design sent to a shirt company too.
Right.
And they'll make them and send them out. You know, they just you get part of the sale, if that makes sense. But I have not looked into that in a while.
I'm looking into a few of it. I'm not. I got to get my sister involved in that because she understands the number thing better than I do. Everybody seems to like my shop card logo. Seriously, that's what we're thinking about doing on the shirt. I don't know.
Is it the car from your YouTube channel, or is it the?
No. Hang on a second here. We'll pull one up here. That's it.
Oh, okay. No, that's a cool.
Now, I thought I kind of thought he'd make a cool shirt.
That's cool. That would be cool. I actually like that design. And I don't think I've seen anything like that either from anybody else.
That's another good friend of mine did the artwork for me. Family friends here in town have a print shop just, I don't know, 6 miles from me, printing my shop cards. In fact, I've been talking to them. I'm coming up with a license plate. I got a thing for putting license plates on all my street cars. And Alabama license plates nobody's doing them. I talked to them about printing me a sheet of license plates. So we got that little project in the works, because I'm not going to do just current license plates, but like the 34 Ford that you've got up here right now. I'd like to do a 1934 Alabama license plate to put on that car.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing, and I keep bringing up in any of the videos I do, is work on the small details. The more small details you add to it, the more alive the subject comes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, which I haven't done any plumbing and wiring on a model car in several years. I'm playing around with that again, but the idea is, do decal details. That's one of the first details anybody should try to do, and get comfortable with that before they start buying this, buying that. Decals are cheap to free. Once you master putting those on, you've got like the oil filter, the brand decal on it. Little things like that really liven up, the engine bay without burning brain cells, too many brain cells in the process. Baby steps when you're building these things. One of the scariest things I hear is you got a guy just getting into the hobby and he's looking at spending, close to $200 in parts. I was like, have you built one? Oh, no. I understand wanting to build that car and these wheels and this tire, and, I understand all that, but you learn the basics first. Then when you spend that money, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Just start out box stock to learn how, right?
Yeah, box stock, swap the wheels and tires from another kit.
Yeah.
That's where I started. I opened up my first model car kit when I was 5 years old. And it was a glue bomb. I can guarantee, I know it was. I built it in one evening on the kitchen table. I even got the decals on it that night. It was done sitting on the dresser in my room. Tires and wheels all cattywampus, and but I had fun.
Yeah, and that's the big part of it. This hobby is meant to be like relaxing. You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be stressing over how it looked. Well, I mean, if you're trying to compete in a competition, you might, but it's supposed to be fun.
Right. That's why most of us get into it, isn't it? It's fun.
Stress relieving. That's the biggest reason why I jumped back into it. Right. And
exactly.
Then it took off there for me.
Well, that's me. I battle with anxiety and depression. This here relieves.
Mm.
I get in here, turn the music on, close the door. The world don't come in here, and I go to town.
No,
That
yeah,
ramp
yeah.
truck I'm building, that was strictly just to see if I could do it.
And that turned out really, really nice. I turned out really, really nice. So you don't have all your builds on your channel since you've only been on for a little bit. What's some of the coolest things you've built up to date?
It'd be kind of a toss up between that blue 34 that's in the background now and my 64 Belvedere Pro Street car I did for Dylan's Pro Street group build. This one.
Oh, that looks so cool.
I back halved it with another. I cut the chassis here, right about where the mufflers are. Grafted in the back section from the 70 Super B kit to the Belvedere stock front section. That was it. I made my own. The cowl hood's a scratch built piece done here. Even finished the underside of this one.
No,
I've
cool.
done some, boy. They hacked up mess underneath. I do stuff like that to challenge myself. I'm not trying to get one up on the next guy. It's just something I like. I wanted. I built it.
And on your channel, you've been showing how you've been making those cuts, right? And how to put them back together, right?
Yes. I'm just trying to give back this hobby that's gave me so much pleasure for decades. I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants to cut two cars in half and put them together.
Well, I mean, that's a skill, right? I mean, you can't just do that the first time and get it right, right?
Oh, no. That's why I got so many parts boxes. Whoops, that didn't go as planned, so we'll dump these parts over here and start over.
And for the most part, what are you using to cut the bodies up with for tools?
I've got a couple of razor saws, hobby knives. I got a Dremel tool to get into, if I got to really get serious cutting, I measure it out. I use number 2 pencil at the bench to make my marks.
Okay.
I'll cut as close to the mark as I can, and I'll use a sanding stick and whatever to get to that point and constantly test fit, until I get the desired connection I need. It's I'm relatively proficient in math, so that helps me. I was helping a young man when I was living up in Kentucky. Was showing him how I do a cowl hood, and I'm measuring and drawing, putting marks on it, drawing lines out. And he's like, "You got to do math to do this?" I said, "Yeah, if you want the scoop in the middle, it helps to be able to do a little bit of arithmetic." Right. He laughed about it, and he worked. He'd come over a couple of nights a week for close to a year. And he actually 6 months in or so, he said, I'm getting better at math at school. I said, well, that's good. He says, because I'm doing this. That's just it. It goes back and forth. I've got an 18-year-old daughter that's severe ADHD. We struggled with getting her how to follow direction. I got her out here in the shop one night because she was showing some interest in the stuff. We sat down, she built a couple snap togethers. Just simple, do step 1, then 2, so on and so forth. The model's finished. About 6 months of that, and her grades were picking up tremendously in school. we went and talked, did one of them parent teacher conferences. And the teacher asked if things had changed at home. I was like, well, what do you mean changed at home? You know, talk about how she was getting better at following direction, doing step by step in order. So I got her to build a few models. Of course, then I get the look from the teacher, you know, like a dog hearing a high-pitched whistle. I'm like, she learned how to follow direction by assembling a model car kit. And the teacher's like, wow. I'm like, well, I'm old-fashioned in a lot of ways. And, you know, I thought that was a good way to learn how to follow direction. You had a finished product. You could go, look, see what I did?
Yeah.
You know, you solve a math problem, you get a good grade, but that's it.
Yeah.
No,
that's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one.
You know,
So
I honestly believe the kids need a hobby. Now, I'm not talking about playing t-ball and Little League, something that they can eventually do just on their own, sit in their room or wherever, you know, and do this little activity that produces something that they can show off. Even if it's just their family members, the only one's going to see it, whatever, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean it's all about, you know, showing the results, right? Because sometimes when
Exactly.
you take like classes and stuff, you don't use some of them tools for like years after you graduate.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. You know, geometry, I took it in high school and didn't really think, I knew I was going to need it. Then we got into building race cars, and oh my goodness, boy, you talk about using geometry then. Of course, they used to laugh at me in the shop. I'd have chalk and I'm drawing out stuff on the shop floor. You know, what's all this? You know, they think, oh, the kids out here drawing on the floor. But when we put that car together, it worked. Worked real well. You know.
Okay, so what are you using to paint the cars with?
About 22 years ago, I got turned on to Createx Auto Air.
Okay.
Was very interested in the waterborne paint systems because it's where we're there, and it's going to get more and more. I went to a little seminar. A guy showed us how to spray this stuff. I'm like, cool. I bought, I don't know, $300 worth of auto air paint, you know, and I'm back. I fired up the airbrush and screwed the pooch. I mean, I did a half a dozen cars. They were awful. It looked like it's the first time I'd ever picked up an airbrush. Of course, made a few phone calls and kind of got a couple of things that I was taught, they didn't register. So I slowed down and started playing more with it. The learning curve was extremely sharp. I learned it. I picked up on using some of the craft paints. I use a decent 2K clear. I don't use a high dollar 2K clear. You know, I've been involved in painting the big cars. Some of that has transferred into this.
So
past 15 years.
So when you were having the airbrush problem, what was the biggest thing that you learned that you were doing wrong?
You cannot spray a waterborne paint like you spray lacquer or acrylic enamel or anything. It's a complete different animal. You spray it extremely thin. In other words, if I do it in acrylic enamel, I'm going to spray maybe 2 coats, 3 tops. With the waterborne, there's colors I've actually laid down over anywhere from 6 to 8 coats of color. Yeah. But those 8 coats of that color in waterborne is not quite equal to 1 coat of acrylic enamel. You just have to build it a lot slower. Well, I mean, it's like spraying water. I mean, take your hose pipe, you spray the car, it runs down. If you missed it, pull your coats back a lot lighter and force dry each coat. Man, I got a hair dryer over there, and it doesn't look like I need a hair dryer.
I understand too.
Yeah, you'll see the look on the lady's face at Walmart when I bought that hair dryer.
No, I just steal
But
the wife's and then make her go buy a new one.
there you go. I spray a very light coat. I go over and dry it. I'm not looking for coverage every coat. Like I said, you build it slow. The hardest colors to learn was the candies. Trying to keep from getting the overlap shadow. And that's a problem with candy, no matter what, whether it's lacquer, any kind of solvent based. When you're spraying a candy, you can get a shadow line where the colors, where you overlap your pattern real quick. That's the one I struggled with the most. Pearls, the pearls and metallics, I picked up like I'd done it forever.
Okay.
But the opaque colors and candies, I struggled with the most. But I figured them out.
Are you using the Createx additives and stuff, or are you just using water?
No, I use, I think it's the 5012. I'd have to go over and look. I use, it's called an Intercoat Clear. I use that. I do use their reducer. I think it's 4012. And
just to be fair on Createx, in case anybody doesn't know this, there's all kinds of numbers and they're changing them all the time. So if we get them wrong in this conversation, you just got to look it up, you know.
Yeah, don't take all my numbers, because it's like having a wife, only now it's over here in my paint department.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the Wicked stuff out of that range. The airborne stuff, I can't figure out how to get to use it. I'm just not doing something right, I don't think. But I love the Wicked stuff. The Wicked stuff makes some really good paint jobs.
Right. You see, the Wicked's got a little solvent in it. It's not 100% water based or waterborne. They tell me there's a difference between the two phrases, and I probably could have remembered it a couple of years ago. But I mean, I play with different types of paints and so on. I go through plastic spoons like there's no tomorrow, doing test shots, test sprays. When I do that, I'm learning how the color likes to be sprayed, how much to reduce it or not reduce it. And when I'm done, I now have a paint sample. And spraying this, because everybody's, well, why don't you just spray a piece of plastic? Well, the spoon's curved. So now I can see how the light's going to affect, particularly when you're spraying candies, pearls. They got a line, Autoware's got a line called Sparklescence. That's where the spoon comes in handy. You can see how the light's going to reflect. You don't get that off a flat square piece.
Yeah,
it goes back to
on Thingiverse, they have I got to print one out, but it's on the PLA stuff. So I'll set the settings really fine so it's a smooth finish, and then I'll fix it. But they have a spoon, like a plastic spoon, but it's like 3 times the size. So it's like the size of like a trunk lid or a hood scoop or so you get more of a surface to cover. I've got to print one out.
Right.
But yeah, I so want to do that because for me, I don't like just using the little spoons. I like using something a little bit bigger because then you see how it's gonna cover a bigger surface. But yeah, I love using the spoon sometimes to figure out how to get it to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys says, well, I just spray a piece of sprue, that's a good technique, particularly when you're spraying solvent paints. Spray a piece of sprue, you know how the two are going to interact. You
And
know,
then I don't know if you can read the screen, but Terry
yeah, I
says
seen
the
that.
spoons can be misleading. They're not made of the same plastic as a model, so the paint can work on a spoon but not on the model. And that he is kind of right on that. But
Exactly. No, yeah, he's spot on. If you're spraying solvent-based paints, the sprue from the kit is perfect to see how the plastic and the paint's going to interact with each other.
yeah,
With the water-based stuff, I don't have a reaction, to the material I'm spraying on. When I do a spoon, I use the same primer I use on the body. Everything's the same steps, order. That way, I've got a better idea of how it's going to look on the car. I see Steve. Yeah, you have to do primer first. I'm a firm believer you primer everything that's going to be really seen. I mean, I primer the chassis, engine, interior, the body. Now I use rattle can primer. There's some great primers that you can buy that you got to mix and everything, but that means I have to have another designated gun. Then I have more mess to clean up. I use Duplicolor's filler primer. I've had good success with it. These bodies do not come out of the molds smooth. They feel good. There's, I've seen some Lindberghs, have done some stuff that, I wished I could get that kind of shine on a finished product. But then when you start sanding it, you see all the low spots in it. I mean, I've seen some 2 passes with a sanding block and it looks like a number 10 wash tub down the side. I mean, it's got more waves in it than the ocean at high tide, and that's where I see guys on Facebook groups, talking about, I don't ever use primer. You're not going to get the finish you're really wanting without using primer.
yeah,
Primer, just like on a big car, it levels out them little spots that you can't feel.
Yeah, and then I use Badger Stylers, right? And that stuff is awesome for like figures and if there's nothing wrong with the bodies, it's awesome. I use that stuff nonstop. But if you have little like you sanded the body, well, all them scratch marks are going to come through because it just levels right into all that
Right.
stuff. It doesn't fill it. So, and I'm not saying Badger Style Res is bad or nothing. It's just you got to use what's in the case of what you need for that particular job, right?
Right. Well, that goes back to, there's a tool for every job. So I'm not saying you got to go out here and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on a bunch of tools, but get your basic tools, learn how to use them. The learning curve gets less and less when you do that. I get a model kit. I start test fitting stuff, sanding, what I call deburring. These things are production line produced. It's boom, 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 boom. That's where we get the flash and get twisted parts, stuff like that. So, go over and just dress off everything that you can. And test fit. It says in the instruction sheet, for every model kit I've ever opened, test fit. So test fit the parts.
Yeah.
It makes it easier in final assembly.
Well, and I will add one thing to that. The instructions, you got to look a couple steps ahead because sometimes there's something they don't tell you that if you put this part on before that part, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Exactly.
One of the funniest things I've heard, this has been over past 30 years, you get it, I don't need no directions. I know I work on trucks with Uncle Fred. I get it to a certain degree. This is a model. They may have to omit or adjust over here just to make it all fit. So it don't exactly go together like Uncle Freddie's farm truck. You know, the end result, it may look like Uncle Freddie's farm truck, but there's a couple things that it's a little different between the real car and the little car. You know, it's just nature.
No, that's very, very true.
Yes,
very, very true.
wash the bodies up.
Yep. Terry's definitely right on that. Yeah, you got to do that.
And use, like he said, Dawn dishwashing detergent, not that Dawn knockoff stuff they sell over here at Dollar General. Use the.
Uh-oh. Well, it looks like Terry froze for a second. Let's see, or Dawn froze for a second.
Oh, there you are.
He jumped. Oh, no, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So talk about your tool that you're going to use for wheels. We were talking about the lathe before we jumped on. Uh-oh. Hey, Don, you're cutting out, buddy.
Can you hear? Is it all right now?
Oh, yeah, you're moving. Yeah. There we go. Oh, no, I think you froze again. Well, we're in that part of the section of the video where we're going to have technical issues for a little bit, and it happens.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now it looks like you're back. So you got a lathe. Why do you have a lathe? Right. And what are you going to be making with it?
It's something. It's a tool I've always wanted. Got it up. My dad bought this thing years ago. It's a small bench size that he's not used ever. He says, "Hey, if you can use it, there it is." So I want to play with making, like I said, wheel hoops where I can press fit different wheel centers in, steering columns, anything round. God, back mid late 90s, Augie Hiscano had come up to the Birmingham Classic. He was a representative for Shoreline Mills and Lathes, and he had one set up, and he was doing little demonstrations, and he was showing me how to make what do you call them things? Anyway, little rings like he put like a gauge bezel, showing different sizes, stuff like that. Let's make a little cat.
And Dawn cut out again.
To search out on the internet and purchase on it to get delivered to the door.
Dawn, can you hear me? All right.
Hang on just a second. We're going to make a.
Hey. Okay, so. He's probably used up all his Wi-Fi. You're probably right on that, but it's okay.
I just shut the Wi-Fi off and went to 5G.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, consider everybody. I'm in Alabama. You know, we still have some people. Their phone service 2 tin cups and a string. So.
Yeah, I mean it's technology, right? So we got to do the best we can with what we're using, right? Which is totally fine. But so you were saying that you want to make the rings, and then you were kind of cutting out. So what was the middle part? Just the like the design of the wheel, right?
Right. You know, the face of the wheel. I got different ones here that are kit based. I got a couple that I've actually made, you know, cut up here on the workbench. So I can make the width wheel I want. Tire selection's getting a little better kit based, so I can go to a bigger diameter wheel if I so choose that way. You know, different stuff like that. You know, Pegasus there for a while had big diameter hoops that they just pressed their 19-inch wheel into. Now you had a 23. Stuff like that.
Cool. I didn't know they were doing that. That's cool. That's a big ass wheel, but that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not a real big fan of all that. But a 23, 24-inch wheel on the back of a full-size truck does look pretty tasty to me. Provided it's actually got some tire sidewall. You know, some of them looks like they just stretched a rubber band around it. And there's people out there that like that. That's great. I like a little more sidewall height.
And so why? So do you like the aftermarket scene, or are you hoping? Is that why you're trying to create your own wheels and stuff?
Oh no, I love the aftermarket scene. That's something I've always. There's great parts out there to buy, great guys to deal with in the aftermarket. I'm an old scratch builder, so I try to build, you know, stuff that I know I can scratch build. I'll go ahead and make. That way I can take, you know, the few dollars I got to spend over here, I can spend it a little more wisely. You know, I can buy that part where I know I can't make. You know, like some of these big block motors they're putting out. You know, I've been looking at a lot of that stuff. There's some guys doing some killer flathead motor that I'm seriously considering. I just don't want anything I build. I don't want the focus of what I build to be the aftermarket stuff I put on it. I want that to accentuate the whole car.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. That's a good point. Because some of the aftermarket stuff can, you know, be overwhelming sometimes, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there drooling over the stuff. I'm not. More power to you if you can purchase it. You know, I just have to be a little more wiser on what I buy. Oh, something I'm actually going to use.
So being a scratch builder stuff, what do you think of the whole 3D printing stuff?
I love it. It's very impressive. I can see tons of uses for it. Well, case in point, some of the flat-headed Ford motor stuff I'm seeing, I could probably scratch build. I don't want to put that much work in. You know, when I can actually, you know, order I think one of them I looked at, the whole motor, everything was like 25 or 30 bucks. You know, if I took all the material here and built just the cylinder heads I like that they're 3D printing, I'm going to have God knows how many hours I'm going to have in it. And that's just to do one. Now I could either, you know, do that one and go over here and get a little so-called cheap resin casting kit over at Hobby Lobby and copy it that way. But with the rubber and the resin, I'm 50, 60 bucks. I could have bought the whole motor ready to clean up, assemble, and put in my car for 30.
Well, depending on the 3D printed side of it, right? Because some guys charge quite a bit for aftermarket stuff for that.
Right.
It does depend on what you're going through. Which,
yeah, I mean, that's and like you and I were talking, you know, just before we come on, I've looked at 3D printers. I've considered it. I ain't pulled the trigger yet. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but considering it, there's a good use for this, for the 3D printers in the hobby. One of the things, and I don't think it's that far down the road, a guy's got a 3D printer home like you do. He can get on these various places that sell the program, or a flash drive, I think. Buy the program and print himself a whole model over in the corner of his hobby room. I see that coming.
So I will talk a little bit on that. We have that right now, right? But the man like Revell, Tamiya, you know, all those, I think we're about 5 to 10 years away from them heading in that direction too. I really see us heading in that direction, because then they don't have to produce stock, right? They're just selling files at that point.
Right. They don't have to have a warehouse.
Yeah, they don't have to have the warehouse. They just have to have enough memory or hard drive or however they're going to store all that stuff. I think we're 5 to 10 years away from that being a reality. I really do.
I go along with that. I go along with that 100%. I watched Lucas Seed's podcast this morning where he was talking with Wes Hurst. Wes was showing that open wheel modified that they're doing, that he's involved in doing with J.R. Salvino. I was blown away. That is one of the nicest tool kits I've seen as far as domestic automobile type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They spent a lot of time getting it right. Carries a price. I think he said retail is going to be like $44.95. That was shocking, but then he started showing more and more the kit. I'm like, that ain't as shocking as I thought it should be.
Well, think of it this way: you go into Hobby Lobby now, and now the kit's like a 24 scale, like the Smokey and the Bandit car. I think the other day, I think it was $41 at Hobby Lobby now.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not far off.
I was in there looking. This last week, I guess. Yeah, it was last week. I'm hoping they mispriced it. But it was the Revell Snap Together 57 Chevrolet. It's a beautiful kit. They had one there, and the price tag was $37.95. I'm like, $38 for a Snap Together? I got glue together kits I paid retail, didn't pay that much for recently.
Yeah, I will address that question later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's totally that's not really far off. It's crazy how where we were. Heck, I'll say 5 years ago, I think most of the kits were like $20 to buy.
Yeah. I've been around it and old enough, and I remember giving $3.96 for a Johan kit at Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hobby. Everything's getting more and more expensive, so it's just reality, right?
Well, the way I look at it, I mean, my daughter and I, we're semi-avid movie fans. We'll go to the theater on somewhat of a regular basis. Ticket price, snacks, I'm $40 deep for 2 hours of entertainment. I can take the same $40 and buy a model car kit. I got a couple of hours for a week of entertainment.
Or
friends that hunt and fish. Right? Yeah, exactly. I got friends that hunt and fish, and I look at what they spend on their hobby. We've drag raced for many years, and look at what we spent. This is a cheap hobby, and it's relaxing. It teaches you gets that imagination working, especially like doing figures. I mean, that's some intense work. Trying to take this thing that's yay tall and make it look lifelike. So you got shadowing in the paint work, and very impressive when one's done nicely.
Okay, so you're not wrong on that, right? But it's not any harder than putting paint on a model car either. It's really not.
It's
just getting to where you know the code, right?
Right.
Yeah, figures aren't any harder than anything else. I understand how people get like they're not really they want to try it, but they're kind of scared at the same time. And I always say, hey, try it once. Just try it once, because you can get I don't know if I have one out here. They have all kinds of scale stuff you can buy for like under $20. Oh, I don't have it out here. But yeah, I mean, it's just basically using the same, like dry brushing, like the interior of a car. It's, that a lot of the stuff, and it goes cars, tanks, weathering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy on all, and how all the hobby stuff kind of can, you can use this technique on all the hobby, not just this part of the hobby.
Right. That's a friend of mine. We went to different high schools together, and he's a modeler. We stay in touch even today. He bounces back and forth between military stuff and car stuff. He's back and forth. Great modeler. He's the one I learned, and I'm still learning. Interior's always been the weakest point on any model I've ever built. It's like one color, throw a couple of parts, done. It's inside the car. You're not going to see it all that much. He showed me using, switching between gloss, semi-gloss flats, especially on a black interior. You get it looks like a realistic interior if you play with the different paints in different areas. You get kind of a shadowing effect, or you give it more dimension where it looks like it's supposed to. It's something that I never really put a whole lot of, didn't put a whole lot of effort in, because, it's the inside of the car. I'm picking up a little bit more on that now.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. And then like the other little like bare metal foil or Molotow pen, right? Like
right.
There's people that only do bare metal foil, or they use both, or they only use the Molotow pen. It's like,
I don't see the Molotow pen ever replacing chrome foil in this shop, but it is another tool I use. I did, the Plymouth here, I did the door handles and the window cranks and everything on the door panels with a Molotow pen. There's a piece of chrome that runs across the top of the door panel. Molotow pen. Doing the window chrome ain't happening. I have played with it for painting wheels with it. I'm 50-50, and I think it's more me picking up learning a technique to get it to look better. I've sprayed, the Alclad chrome. I've got a 55 Chevrolet Nomad back behind me that I did the suspension and the headers with the Alclad chrome. It's held up great. That model's 10 years old. Yeah. Same time I did a T-bucket, did the windshield frame, and it faded off. The black came back through about 2 years later. So,
all right. So,
just learning, and that's the other thing I like about this.
Yeah. And I like the fact that all of us together in the community help each other. I love that fact.
Exactly.
Because I know sometimes I don't have all the answers. That's for darn sure, right?
Oh, that's
So,
as long as I've been doing it, I'm still new.
right. So, did you want to show some of the other cars that you've done over the years? You had a couple cars to show, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't
seems
know.
how we probably got more Chevrolet fans in the house than anything. This is there we go. This is the old AMT 57 Chevrolet through the hardtop kit I built 4 years ago. It's primarily box stock. I modified a couple of little things, like doesn't have a front bumper. I did it. Kind of the theme behind this was a teenager in the mid-late 60s. This is his ride. You know, he worked on it. But nothing flashy or fancy, just a clean. I tried to build a clean car.
Yeah. And
You know,
just
didn't go with the big motor.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, he's not really, his Wi-Fi is kind of interacting with the video, so it might interfere. Yeah. So just I've seen the video on that one. That's the one you just finished, right?
No, this car here is 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
It's painted with Apple Barn Craft paint for the burgundy, and actually the top is too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
with
cool.
a PPG clear, 2K clear on it. It's parts box pieces in the kit. That's it. I believe, yeah, the traction bars I did with the Alclad, and they're starting to fade. You know, it's showing up good on my phone, and I'm looking over at my laptop mode. It looks awful on the laptop.
I think that's just the you know, the Wi-Fi signal or the 5G, right? I don't know if that's something we're going to be able to fix. But, you know.
Yeah, it's looking awful on my laptop. I mean, seriously bad.
Yeah.
Let me look at something here. Yeah, well, it's showing I got good service, but I got to beg to differ with what I'm seeing on the screen. Like I said, it looks great on my phone, but boy, it looks awful on the laptop.
Well, you know, sorry about that, man. You know.
My apologies to everybody else. I mean, and of course, you've seen the Pro Street Plymouth. This is a Pro Street 69 Camaro I done 7-8 years ago.
Oh, her.
See how it looks now.
Wow.
It's buffering something fierce.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, this is awful.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know, we'll just make it work, man. But anyway, oh, you know what? It might have cleared up. Look at your laptop.
Oh, that looks good there. Modern technology.
Yeah. So show the cars before it changes.
Yeah, really. That's a little 69 Camaro I done. It's based off the Revell kit. The lighting in here ain't the best at this point.
And
L67 Chevelle.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I lengthened them, did the cross bracing, stuff like that in them.
It looks super cool. How are you making the drag
Another one
bars?
of mine. That was stuff is how to solder small wire together, and that's what that's made out of. Is I don't know if I can't remember now if it was brass or stainless wire. Anyway, it's all soldered together and then painted. The bars are all they're metal, all soldered together and then glued in. You know, my scratch building is just so I enjoy doing it. It I don't know, gets my fabrication itch scratched while I'm doing it. You know.
Yeah, no, it's a good skill to learn, at least, right? All right. So while he's on a aluminum foil, that's funny, Fred. That's funny. Where's my starred comment? So we talked about this earlier, and here's my thing with that. People are going to steal files, right? And they're going to try to make a profit. But here's the thing. I don't disagree with Brian when it says Tamiya.
Just a second. I got something I got to take care of right for me.
Okay. No problem. But I still believe we're headed in that direction where they're no longer gonna provide kits. You're gonna buy the file and you're gonna print stuff out on your own. I still think we're 5-10 years away from that. I really, really do. But you know, I think the only manufacturer that probably won't is Tamiya, only for the fact is they have the best kits. And everybody else is going to get better results with the resin printer because everything's going to fit together really, really well. As long as you can run a printer, right? I still really believe that's going to be the case. Manufacturing is manufacturing, but times are changing, especially with the quality of stuff that is being produced in the 3D printed world. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's just kind of my opinion on it, right?
I think once they figure out how to stop you from doing that very thing, as far as selling, bootlegging their once they figure out how to stop you from being able to bootleg it, it'll happen.
I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22, right? You got to make the files big enough. You can't just, send an email with the file, which the files are getting pretty, like you might be able to send one of the pieces, but you're not going to be able to send the whole kit. But it's just, I really, really believe that's where we're going to be. But yeah. So, Dawn, did you have any questions for me? And of course he froze.
I can't. What?
Okay. People that build kits now do it because it's easy. Having to buy a printer and print your own kit, people will
Are we
not buy.
back in? I don't see anything going on my laptop. Josh, can you hear me? What's any?
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you there for a minute.
Okay. Oh, this stuff. Just. Oh well. That was a good one, Fred. I'll get the tinfoil hat out if I do this again.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you doing this. I can't express my appreciation enough. I've enjoyed being back on YouTube. I'm picking up tips and ideas, and you know, I've tried to share anything and everything I know or learned. It's just with this YouTube stuff, like we were talking, you know, clubs are kind of a little thinner. So my next best step is, you know, getting on YouTube and really it's buffering out again.
I can still hear you though.
Okay. Okay. Do what?
I said, yeah, you're frozen, but I can still hear you. You know, it's okay, man.
Like, you know, well, we were talking, you know, about figures. You're going to be one to go to I decide to pull the trigger and deal with some figure stuff. You know, there's some stuff out there that I'd like to get and build.
Yeah.
It's, you know, my heart will always be hot rods. So the day I turn toes up. Do what?
Well, you know what, Don? We've been over an hour.
Oh, so, yeah, haven't we? Wow.
So yeah. Unless you have any
put some more quarters in.
Unless you have any questions for me, I think I'm gonna try to call it a day, right?
Right.
And you can ask me if you want to, man. It's fine. And he froze.
I'm glad you're doing this. So I stopped and went on this channel. Cool stuff. And I am froze again, I see. Good grief.
Hey, Don, we'll talk in a couple minutes when we get offline, okay? I'm gonna try to end this. But thank you for coming on. I'm glad we were able to make this work. And I will talk to you in a little bit, okay?
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me.
All right. All right, guys. So that was Don. And if you're not subscribed to Don's Garage on YouTube, go over there and check it out. He's got some cool tutorials. He's got some cool videos, does really good work. So I will check you guys next week. I believe it's either Mark from Montana or it's Rick Zink. I don't remember. I don't have the dates in front of me, but I think it's Mark from Montana. But I will see you guys next week. Bye.